Hello everyone, FPL Grandmaster back again with another video. I'm aware that this is going to be quite a late upload ahead of the deadline tomorrow in the morning, so we're going to jump straight into it, and I'm going to start with the wildcard section this week. So we're going to go straight to it. In terms of the goalkeepers, not really much I'm going to be changing there from my wildcard drafts in previous weeks. I feel with Chelsea's fixtures looking good now, Sanchez is an increasingly good option at a fairly decent price. And as for Martin Dubravka, he's just, in my view, the best 4.0 goalkeeper in the game. He's a good set and forget, and you can rotate him when you need to, as has happened in recent weeks with Sanchez being injured recently. So with the goalkeepers, that pretty much stays the same for me in a wildcard draft. Then going into the back line, I'd opt for the double Arsenal defense. We've had a discussion in recent weeks a little bit about Rice versus Saka. There is an option to double up on them, but I think Timber is just as good as Saka is, so he's quite similar anyway for points. So that means, in my view, that the double defense is probably the better option, and you just save a lot of money by going that way. And they've got decent-ish fixtures the next few Arsenal, so and in general, with Gabriel and Saliba both starting at centre back, their defense is quite strong. And then you've got like a decent rotation with Van Heck, Senesi, and Mukiele in defense. I mean, Senesi and Mukiele are good for DEFCON, and Van Heck has got good fixtures with Brighton. Yeah, good run of fixtures here: Bournemouth, Fulham, Everton, Palace, and Villa will be difficult. Palace might be as well, but the next three at least look decent. But what I like is, I mean, most weeks you're going to be playing the double Arsenal, and it's really up to you if you want to like which one of the three you want to play. And there'll be weeks also where you can maybe even go for four defenders and maybe bench one of the attackers. That's definitely an option to keep in mind. Going into the midfield, Declan Rice, he's just a great option. As always, he's on corners. The price only 7.3 million. He's probably someone I'm looking to transfer in this week. And I think for the value, he's just unmatched, really. Palmer, he is flagged now. He's got yellow flagged. Not a great situation for him. It's the same old, same old. They're managing his minutes a little bit, but I think if you're on wildcard, you kind of just have to trust it and go for it. You can go for Enzo Fernandez for a little bit cheaper, so that's an option also. But I think Palmer's the one that's really got the most holes in him, and I think that's where you want to go, especially if you want to maximize the upside of playing the wild card this early. Then with Rodgers, we've talked a bit about Villa in previous weeks. Again, it's maybe not the most ideal, uh, just because the points are quite spread out amongst the attackers, but I think Rodgers is the most nailed of them, the most likely to start. And I think I mean, Villa are a good attack in general, so he's always likely to get something. And for the price, it's still a decent price point, and you can kind of go down if you need to, maybe to like a Harry Wilson if need be. Then this is a bit of a rogue pick. I know a lot of people talking against Semenyo with a lot going on with the amount of rotation risk that's there, but he's played well in his first two games, I think. You've got some of the players coming back from AFCON now, but I don't expect them to come straight back into the squad. I think they'll probably be rested a little bit and then come back in. So I think that leaves Semenyo as a fairly decent pick for the next two at least. And with Wolves in the game after United, I think there's a good chance of a haul there, and I would expect him to start. Obviously, it's always a risk. It's a bit more short term, but I think he's quite explosive, Semenyo, so it's a good option in that respect. Then Bruno Guimaraes, he's been reliable for me. His expected data is not always the best, but he's not the type, he's like one of those players where I don't think expected data really tells you the full story. So I think that completes the midfield. Going into the attack, I mean, Kripke Jr., I actually expect him to play a little bit more now Semenyo's gone. He has been playing just behind the striker. So he could, if he can break into the squad consistently, he could be someone you consider starting in your team. But in general, he's quite a decent bench option anyway. Haaland is just a no-brainer, like Gabriel. And then Calvert-Lewin, Leeds have looked decent. Calvert-Lewin's in a rich vein of form at the moment, so I think it's definitely someone to consider. You could also go for Wilson, as I mentioned before. But yeah, that completes the wildcard draft. This is something I'd look at to set yourself up for the next few weeks. Then, if we have a look at my team, it feels like ages ago now, game week 21. It it was a bit of a mixed bag for me, to be fair. I think the real story was the bench with Lacroix, who I was starting ahead of Mukiele, and then I switched him out pretty much at the last second. And I mean, it's 5 points. It's stuff like that happens. It is what it is. But it would have been nice to have the points from Lacroix. Um, but otherwise, the defense in general are actually quite reliable this week. Um, nothing really too much to complain about in the defense. It was it's really the rest of the team where it was a bit unreliable. I mean, Bruno Guimaraes again, he pretty much he minimized the losses last week. If it wasn't for him, would have been looking at a really, really bad game week, I think. But fortunately, he got a goal. I think he was close to DEFCON as well, so that would have been nice. But things happen. You just move. It was really with Grealish, it went really badly. The red card. He is that type of player. Sometimes he can get a bit frustrated. He's the type of player that can do that. It's a bit annoying, and Moyes wasn't happy about it either. But again, one of those things. You move. It's these three in the midfield: Cunha, Saka, Foden, that have been recently quite unimpressive. Foden hasn't been great. Saka has been a bit mixed. Um, not. I mean, he's been all right, but for the price, you expect a lot more. And then Cunha, it's yeah. I mean, I went for it because of the three fixtures against the promoted teams, but hasn't really gone as well as I expected it to. And there's another story to tell with Jared Bowen. I've really lost out to Igor Thiago, who smashed it again last week. It's one of those things you take a chance. I don't really want to go back to Thiago now just because the fixtures aren't great, but I know he is the talisman for Brentford, so he's always got a decent chance of scoring anyway. As I say, it's one of those situations. It is what it is ultimately. And then Haaland, he could have scored so many more goals. It's crazy. He only scored a penalty in that game. But again, you just have to move with it. It does bring about questions of whether you captain him going forward. I think you still do, but it's something to consider. Then finally going into my team for this week. I mean, I think it looks okay. As you can see right now, I've got Krupi ahead of Cunha because I just don't really trust Cunha to do much against Man City. The transfer I'd be considering actually is Cunha to Rice, and I think if I were to do that, it would probably be Krupi coming out of the team. Although you could argue there's reason to bench Bowen because West Ham haven't looked great, and even if it's Spurs, I still don't know if I'd really be trusting West Ham at the moment. But in the defense, I think that this is pretty set anyway. Anderson against Leeds is fine. Gabriel against Forest is fine. Mikhail against Palace, fine with me as well. Especially at home, Sunderland are quite resilient in defence. Into the midfield, Bruno against Wolves, I think is still a decent fixture, even with Wolves turning it around in recent weeks. Saka against Forest, there's a decent chance for him to do okay there. Again, I don't with Saka, he kind of takes on along nicely, but he's not one to haul quite often. And then Foden, I'm mainly just keeping him because of that Wolves game next week, but I'd be really tempted to move him on quite soon. And then with Grealish, it's just a bit of a narrative there with it being his old club that, he might do something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think in terms of captaincy, I think it's still Haaland. Man United aren't great even now. I mean, new manager and everything. I don't know if I trust that to go super well, so I'd be quite happy to keep it on Haaland. Bowen is not done what I would have expected from him. Another game. I mean, Spurs aren't the greatest team in the world, but neither are West Ham. So don't know how that's gonna go. But there are more pressing issues I think in this team right now, and I just maybe it's me being stubborn, not bringing back Thiago, but I'm probably not going to do that. And then Krupi, I mean, if I don't do anything, I could see him starting that game, so it's a decent option, I feel. But obviously, we see how it goes. Um, if I make a transfer, it'll probably be Cunha to Rice. That's the most likely one. But yeah, that's the video. Hope it helps. Hope the wildcard tips help. And let me know what you think of the video. I apologize, it's a bit fast, a bit last minute. I wanted to get the video out there for you guys. Have a good game week, everyone. Leave your comments down below. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Any questions, leave them down below. And as always, I've been the FPL Grandmaster.